Sophia Loren was born with the name Sophia Vanni Schiccolone on September 20, 1934. She was born in Rome, Italy. She grew up in a very poor town called Peppard, which was close to Naples. When she was a little girl, life was really hard for her and her family. There wasn't much food or money to go around. She grew up during World War II, which was a scary and difficult time. She often had to hide in shelters when bombs were falling from the sky. Many times, she went to bed hungry because there wasn't enough food to eat. Even though things were so tough, young Sophia was beautiful and had a strong, brave spirit that couldn't be broken. She was a girl who loved to dream big dreams. She would look far into the distance and imagine a better life. She hoped that one day she could escape from the sad and broken world of Italy after the war. The hard times she went through when she was young helped make her strong and never give up. This strength would later help her become a huge movie star. Her journey to becoming famous started in a simple way. When she was just 15 years old, she entered a beauty contest in her town. At this contest, her amazing beauty and the way she carried herself caught the eye of a film producer named Carlo Ponti. He was a man who would completely change her life forever. Carlo Ponti didn't just see how pretty she was on the outside. He also saw that she was smart, warm, and had a natural charm that made people like her. With Carlo Ponti's help and guidance, Sophia started getting small parts in movies. Little by little, she changed from a shy, skinny girl into a confident and fascinating movie star. Their work relationship soon turned into something more romantic and special. They fell deeply in love with each other, even though there were many problems and obstacles in their way, like legal troubles and what other people thought. They eventually got married. They stayed completely devoted to each other for more than 50 years, until Carlo Ponti died in 2007. Sophia Loren's rise to becoming famous all around the world happened really fast. Her big break came in the 1950s when she acted in Italian movies. Some of these movies were called Ada, which came out in 1953, and The Gold of Naples, which came out in 1954. In these films, her natural talent and emotional performances made audiences fall in love with her. She had a special gift for showing deep feelings just through her eyes and the way she moved. This made her different from many other actresses at that time. Sophia Loren wasn't just beautiful. She also had real substance and depth. She brought honesty and realness to every character she played in the movies. When she started making movies in Hollywood, it was the start of a whole new chapter in her life. She became famous all over the world. She starred in movies with some of the biggest legends in cinema history. These included actors like Cary Grant, Frank Sinatra, Clark Gable, and Marcello Mastroianni. In 1961, something amazing happened. Her incredible performance in a movie called Two Women, in Italian it was called La Ciociara, won her the Academy Award for Best Actress. The movie was directed by Vittorio De Sica. This was a really big deal and a historic moment. She became the first actor ever to win an Oscar for acting in a movie that wasn't in English. It was in a foreign language. This achievement made her one of the most respected actresses in the whole world. In the movie, she played a character named Cesira, who was a mother trying to protect her daughter during a terrible war. Her acting showed such powerful emotions that people from all countries could understand it, even if they didn't speak Italian. This performance is still considered one of the most powerful portrayals of human pain and a mother's love that has ever been filmed and shown on a movie screen. During the 1960s and 1970s, Sophia Loren kept being a huge star in both European movies and American movies. She brought style, humor, and attractiveness to all the roles she played. Some of her famous films from this time were Marriage Italian Style, Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow, Arabesque, and The Millionairess. Her work with actor Marcello Mastroianni became legendary and unforgettable. When they acted together, they created a magical chemistry on screen. Their movies showed romance, humor, and real affection that felt genuine. Sophia Loren's presence in movies was magnetic. She pulled people in. She always carried herself with dignity and strength, and she stayed true to herself even when surrounded by all the glamour and fame of being a movie star. As the years went by and she got older, Sophia Loren continued to inspire new generations of artists and people who loved movies. She never let getting older make her lose her sense of purpose or her love for acting. Her later performances in movies like Nine, which came out in 2009, and The Life Ahead, which came out in 2020, showed that her talent and emotional power were just as strong as they had always been. In The Life Ahead, which was directed by her own son Eduardo Ponti, Sophia Loren gave a deeply touching performance. She played a character named Madame Rosa, who was a Holocaust survivor taking care of orphan children. This role was a beautiful example of her lifelong ability to show strength through being vulnerable and showing weakness. On September 24, 2023, people all around the world became very worried. News came out that the legendary Sophia Loren had taken a serious fall at her home in Switzerland. The beloved Italian movie icon, who had always been graceful and full of energy even at her age, was rushed to the hospital in an emergency. She had broken her hip and femur in multiple places, which are bones in the leg. The accident happened in her private home near Geneva, which is a city in Switzerland. People close to her said it was a very scary and worrying moment for her family and all her fans. Within just a few hours, Sophia Loren had to have emergency surgery. A team of specialized doctors worked hard to help her bones heal and to make sure she could walk again and prevent any more problems. Sophia Loren's romantic life and marriage have always been connected to Carlo Ponti Sr. He was a respected Italian film producer who was very important not just in her personal happiness, but also in helping her build her legendary career. Their relationship was one of the most interesting and long-lasting love stories in the history of movies around the world. It was a story of deep love, working together in art and film, and standing strong against what other people thought was right. This happened during a time when their relationship was considered shocking and wrong by both the Catholic Church and the legal system in Italy. Sophia Loren first met Carlo Ponti way back in 1950. She was only 15 years old and had just started entering beauty pageants and trying to become an actress. Carlo Ponti was 22 years older than her and was already a successful film producer. Right away, he saw that she had extraordinary potential and talent. He became her mentor and teacher, guiding her through the first steps of her career. He helped her get auditions for movies and improved her image. He helped transform her from a shy, awkward teenager into a polished, glamorous actress who was ready to amaze audiences all around the world. What started as just a professional working relationship soon grew into something much deeper. They developed an emotional connection that was based on respecting each other, sharing the same dreams, and real, genuine love. However, their path to getting married was full of problems and obstacles. Carlo Ponti was still legally married to his first wife, whose name was Giuliana Fiestri. Italy had very strict laws about divorce at that time. It was nearly impossible for him to get a legal separation without facing harsh judgment from the church and society. Even though there were all these legal problems blocking their way, Sophia and Carlo's love for each other only got stronger. In 1957, they got married through something called a proxy marriage in Mexico. This meant that lawyers stood in for them during the wedding ceremony since they couldn't be there in person. This caused a big scandal in Italy, where people didn't recognize their marriage as real or legal. Later, in 1962, this marriage was annulled, which means it was cancelled legally. They did this to avoid being charged with bigamy, which is being married to two people at the same time. But cancelling the marriage didn't mean the end of their relationship at all. Actually, It made them even more determined to stay together, no matter what society and the church said. Their love story finally won against all the difficulties. In 1966, after many years of legal battles and personal challenges, Carlo Ponti became a French citizen. This allowed him to divorce his first wife legally. Then he was able to marry Sophia Loren again, this time officially in Paris, France. This second marriage marked the real beginning of their lifelong partnership. They were now truly husband and wife, and they also worked together as creative partners. Carlo produced several of Sophia's most praised and successful films. These included Two Women from 1960, which won her the Academy Award for Best Actress, and Marriage Italian Style from 1964. Both of these movies were directed by Vittorio De Sica. Together, Sophia and Carlo built what you could call an artistic empire. They represented the perfect example of Italian elegance and sophistication on the world stage. Their marriage lasted more than 40 years and was filled with deep loyalty, mutual respect, and a shared destiny. Unlike many relationships in Hollywood that fell apart because of the pressures of being famous, Sophia and Carlo's bond stayed strong through all the decades. They raised 2 sons together. One son was named Carlo Jr., who became an orchestra conductor. The other son was Eduardo, who became a film director. Both sons carried on their parents' creative legacy and love for the arts. Sophia often talked about her husband as her great love. She gave him credit for believing in her when very few other people did. She said he gave her confidence and helped shape her into both a world-class actress and a woman with depth and dignity. Carlo Ponti passed away in 2007. His death left a huge empty space in Sophia Loren's life that could never truly be filled by anyone else. His death marked the end of an era for her, both in her personal life and her professional career. But Sophia has continued to honor his memory with grace and dignity. She often speaks about him as the guiding force behind all the greatest achievements in her life. Even in her later years as an older woman, she still thinks about their journey together. She remembers their laughter, the dreams they shared, and the quiet strength of their companionship. Their story remains a timeless example of how love can last and survive against all odds. It was a romantic partnership built not only on passion and attraction, but also on deep understanding, working together in art, and never giving up on their commitment to each other. At the age of 91, Sophia Loren is still one of the last living legends from Hollywood's golden era. She is a lasting symbol of beauty, intelligence, and emotional depth. Throughout her long and amazing career, she has acted alongside many of the greatest leading men of her generation. But there is one name she has hardly ever talked about in public, and that name is George Peppard. Only now, in her later years as an older woman, does she feel comfortable enough to open up about their time together. She is revealing both the admiration she felt and the challenges that came with working alongside such a complicated and interesting man. George was a mystery to me. Sophia Loren begins, speaking softly and gently. He was handsome and talented, but there was something behind his eyes. There was something troubled, something that wanted to prove itself at every single moment. Sophia Loren remembered how she first met George Peppard in the early 1960s. At that time, both of them were at the peak of their careers and doing really well. She was already an international star, known for her glowing performances in movies like Two Women, El Cid, and Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow. Meanwhile, George Peppard had just finished his break through success in the movie Breakfast at Tiffany's. This film made him one of Hollywood's most promising new leading men and rising stars. We met at a dinner party in Los Angeles. She remembered clearly. He was quiet at first, almost distant and far away. But when he spoke, his voice carried great authority and power. I could see he was a man who had fought hard to be taken seriously by others. Sophia Loren described how George Peppard had an old-fashioned sense of what it meant to be masculine. This quality was both appealing and attractive, but at times it was also intimidating and a bit scary. He could be charming and delightful, she said, but he also carried a certain pride, an armor, you could say, that made it difficult to really know him deeply on a personal level. According to Sophia Loren, their professional working relationship was marked by respect for each other, but there was also tension and difficulty. George was very serious about his craft and his acting, she explained. He wanted everything to be perfect. Every line he said, every gesture he made. That kind of intensity and focus can be beautiful, but it can also be exhausting and tiring to be around. He would sometimes get frustrated when things didn't go his way or the way he wanted. She continued. And I would just look at him and smile. I told him, George, life is not a battlefield. You don't have to fight everything. He laughed when I said that, but I don't think he ever fully believed it or took it to heart. Sophia Loren's laughter at this memory was mixed with sadness, as though she were remembering a man who never quite found peace with himself or felt satisfied. He wanted recognition and respect, she said. But he also pushed people away at the same time. That was his contradiction, the thing about him that didn't make sense. The Italian actress spoke honestly and openly about George Peppard's reputation in Hollywood. She talked about his perfectionism, his stubbornness, and his sometimes difficult personality that was hard to deal with. He had a fire inside him, she said, and that fire burned bright and strong, but it also burned him from the inside. She remembered how George Peppard's conflicts and fights with movie studios and other actors eventually cost him many opportunities. These could have been chances that would have made his career even greater and more successful than it was. He didn't always play the Hollywood game the way others did, Sophia Loren admitted. He wanted to be respected as an artist, not just as a handsome man with a pretty face. I admired that about him, but in this business, you sometimes have to bend a little and compromise, and George never wanted to bend or give in. Still, even as she talked about his difficulties, Sophia Loren's tone of voice was affectionate and warm, rather than critical or mean. There was a kindness in him that people didn't always see or notice, she said. Between takes when we were filming, he could be very gentle and soft. He loved to talk about books, about politics, about the human condition, and what it means to be human. He was not superficial or shallow. He had a mind that was always searching, always questioning everything around him. Sophia Loren paused for a moment, and her voice became softer and more gentle. Sometimes I think he was too intelligent for the world he found himself in, she reflected. Hollywood is a place that rewards charm and good looks more than deep thought. George had both qualities, charm and intelligence, but he was never comfortable with the illusion of it all, the fakeness of the movie business. When reflecting on George Peppard's later years in life, Sophia Loren became visibly emotional, and you could see the sadness in her face. It made me sad to see how the industry turned its back on him, she confessed. He deserved better treatment than what he got. There was a time when he could have been one of the greats, like Marlon Brando or like Paul Newman, but fate had other ideas and plans for him. Sophia Loren added that George Peppard's struggles with alcohol and personal demons seemed to come from the same restless energy that once made him so magnetic and attractive on the movie screen. He wanted truth in everything he did, she said. But truth can be painful and hurt, and he carried that pain inside him all the time. When someone asked her what she would say to George Peppard today if he were still alive, Sophia Loren smiled in a wistful, nostalgic way. I would tell him that he was wonderful and amazing, she said warmly. I would tell him that he didn't have to fight so hard, that his talent was enough just as it was. After a long pause and moment of silence, she added quietly and softly, he was a good man, even when he didn't believe it himself. Sophia Loren's reflections and thoughts on George Peppard offer a rare glimpse into the humanity of two icons who were shaped by the same demanding and difficult world of Hollywood. Her words, which are filled with wisdom and compassion, reveal not only her respect for George Peppard as an artist, but also her understanding of the fragility and weakness behind his strength. "We were from different worlds," she concluded at the end, "but I always understood him. Beneath the pride, beneath the struggle and the fighting, there was a man who simply wanted to be loved and accepted."